Today's guest is Janice Haughton, the Director of Community and Citizenship at Turner Construction. Janice, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Tats. So happy to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know a few weeks back we were trying to, schedule or coordinate, and you weren't feeling well. But I was shocked because you took the call anyways. You seem to be the type of person that likes to come through on your commitments.
Yeah, Tats, I do. Working as the director of community citizenship at Turner Construction, I have to show up at all times and at any time to make sure that Turner is making a meaningful impact in the communities that we serve. So, Tats, taking your call on a half a sick day was nothing out of the ordinary for me.
So when I see that, and sort of that sort of determination habit, I have to be curious. What were you like growing up?
Oh, so I'm the baby of the bunch. My parents are immigrants. They came to this country in the late 60s from Jamaica. So not only am I the baby, but I'm what they call the Yankee. I'm the, first generation born in the US. But my parents worked really hard to make a good life for us here in the US. My dad and all of his brothers were all tradesmen. So construction actually runs in my blood. I didn't realize that until I got a little bit older. And my dad certainly in his generation did not envision women in this industry. So growing up was a lot of, focusing on education, making sure that I am being a positive and uplifting member of my community, and also, putting my spirituality first. My family are from a Christian background, and my mother raised us in the church. And really, I take away those lessons as just being a good person, helping out my fellow neighbors and colleagues, and also extending kindness and active caring wherever I can in my personal and professional life.
Wow, that's awesome. What were some of the first things, like first thoughts, before you got into construction that you had around career and direction and all that stuff?
Well, I always wanted to work in the nonprofit arena, but I didn't really know what. I know that I wanted to be in a capacity where I was working for a mission-driven organization that is making an impact to individuals who are underserved. I'm from the Bronx, the South Bronx, and I'm very proud to be from there. But it's also a community, like many communities in New York, in which the local residents need programs to support economic development and education, awareness, and access to opportunity. So I've always wanted to be in that arena, but I didn't really know where or how. In school, I pursued classes and studies that would gear me more towards children, helping children. So I started out in advocacy, and I worked for an organization that advocated for children's rights. And I got a chance to work with Scholastic and the city on creating programs for children that eventually morphed into families. Then that eventually morphed into businesses. And then it came full circle because now I'm in a role where I get to help business, community, and family.
Yeah, and you seem to have taken like an operations path and then into marketing. Describe your experience through that part of your career.
Yeah, so I'm what you call a returner. I started at 2000 and interned in 2005, and I worked in the international division. I was very honored to work in operations and got to support our projects overseas in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So that is kind of when I cut my teeth in this. I was working to support those teams overseas, but I was also doing a little bit of marketing work. I love to write. I'm very creative. And I really enjoyed the opportunity to work with Turner to present our services, obviously in a different framework when you're looking how to work overseas. It was very interesting and a great way for me to learn about our industry and what we do. Um, Quickly, times change, recession, right? I tried to see maybe I can try this out some other places. And I went to a few other companies and stayed within that role, but I began to get a little burned out, and I didn't feel as fulfilled. And just going back to what we discussed earlier, Tats, that connection, community, family, I wasn't really getting that in marketing. So I decided to take a leap, and luckily I kept my relationships with people at Turner in that time that I had left. I stayed in tune with what was happening in the industry, and there was starting to be more focus and attention on minority, women, local, veteran, LGBTQ owned businesses to get contracting opportunities on construction projects, and more of a focus on making sure that construction companies are taking more responsibility as active carers in our neighborhoods. And I said, that sounds interesting. So I had an opportunity to work with a company on an expansion project in Harlem at the Columbia University, and that's where I began to work in this field.
Ooh, expansion project. Explain to me what that project was about.
So Columbia University, as you well know, is expanding its campus. They have over a 30-year expansion program. They're going to be expanding the campus from 116th all the way up to 135th Street in pockets. So I had the pleasure of working on the first phase of that project. It's known as Manhattanville. And many of those buildings have since been erected. It's been probably about 10 years since I did that. But because Columbia is so committed to the community of Harlem, and they also have very, very stringent goals around the utilization of small businesses. I was brought on to help the construction management team in identifying local companies that could work on the project, as well as individuals from diverse backgrounds within certain zip codes in that area that could work in trade capacity and get an opportunity to help be a part of this expansion. Colombia has been a big, big advocate for increasing these types of opportunities in their neighborhood. So that was my first taste in the MWB compliance and community engagement world.
Wow. You talked about mission-driven organization. What are the characteristics of a good mission driven organization?
I would say simply, Tats, you you need to understand that it's not about achieving a goal, it's your responsibility. Whatever that mission is that you are trying to achieve, it needs to be realistic, but it also needs to be very much in line with what your end goal is, but you can't look at it like you're doing it for a goal. You have to accept that if this is the mission of my organization, how is it going to impact? How is it going to make change? And how am I going to be effective in achieving that? But you can't look at it um, necessarily as a business objective. You have to understand that it's a responsibility. And you have to look at it that way and approach everything with that sense of caring, that sense of compassion, and that sense of understanding that you may be providing a service and you're helping individuals in a population that you may not even understand. So you have to listen, you have to be open minded, and you have to be able to take the feedback, the advice, the suggestion of those who may have been there doing it or are doing it, and look to partner with them because at the end of the day, again, if you're servicing a certain population or a certain industry, you want to make sure that your mission is driven by that focus, right? By that understanding what that end game is.
Yeah.
And that has to come from us, from your heart, right?
Yeah. No, that's great. So well, with that aspect of it, how does that fit in with, let's say other people's job within the organization, P&Ls and all that stuff? How can that work together so that, both sides of that get what was required to perform?
Right. So I think overall, when the entire company understands the mission, everybody could think about how they play a part. So I'll give you an example. Here, as I said, I am the director of the Community and Citizenship Department at Turner Construction, and I have the pleasure of touching just about every department within the company. And one good example I could give you today is business development. Obviously, business development is focused on finding work for Turner, right? We're pursuing proposals. This kind of goes back to my marketing background, right? We're trying to get work. We're trying to find new clients. We're trying to get, new business, right? So how that ties to what I do. Now, I'm obviously in the community, making sure that Turner's leaving a positive impact. I'm looking for small businesses that I can work with. I'm looking for organizations that I want to partner with and support their missions, nonprofits, schools, you name it, right? So, along those veins, there could be one of my clients doing the same thing. Or maybe the project I'm pursuing is in an area that I'm already doing community outreach or youth engagement. Or maybe I just did a food pantry and somebody else was at the food pantry that's on, the client's board. I could share board memberships with clients. There's so many different ways that community connects to our bottom line. And I get to touch my project teams because obviously I lean on my colleagues to make these things happen. I get them to understand why, yes, you're busy building a building, but do you know what's right around the corner? Do you know how you can make a positive impact? Do you know that these kids are seeing you every day going to work and they're wondering, what are these people doing? So there are so many ways that you can connect it back, but overall, everyone needs to understand and be aligned with the mission, and then think about innovative ways that they can add value.
Got it. Responsibility, use that as a benchmark, open people's minds around different possibilities that align with that responsibility.
Yes.
Wow. You explain one way that you can talk to a certain department that could potentially work. How about other departments? I mean, do you have other ways that you explain things to people that get them to the same spot?
Yeah. So sometimes you just have to talk to people's language. I work with a bunch of engineers, right? So at the end of the day, they're great people, but I have to speak their language. I have to get them to understand why this is important. But for an engineer, I need to provide them with the rationale. I need to give them data. I need to give them metrics and I need to give them the end result. So I'm fortunate that I could work with an organization. I could ask my organization, hey, tell me how many volunteer hours Turner has committed. Can you tell me the percentage of the amount of impact through maybe our food insecurity programs or some of our youth engagement? What has the impact? Can you measure that? And can you give me some data? And can you talk about, why this is so important to you as an organization? I take that information and I give that to my engineers, and they're like, oh, okay, we see how, right? When I'm working with my procurement teams, right? They're moving fast, they're trying to buy work, they want to get our jobs off the ground and executed. But we talk about, hey, that scope of work, is there a way that we could break it down a little bit to maybe give this small company an opportunity? Or, hey, that prime contractor that's not a minority owned business, they got a huge contract. Is there opportunities for them to sub out work in their contract to some smaller businesses? So you have to speak the language of your partners, but you have to give them the respect and the time and the information so that they can get on board too and understand how they can add value. So it's a little bit of selling, a little bit of education, but I found that that has worked well for me.
Yeah, so that's selling inside the company. What about the selling outside the companies to engage a company like yours or others? Like, what education do you provide them?
So really, I think for us, it's pretty easy. I work for a major, well-known global organization, so I don't get many people that say, I don't know what Turner Construction is. They might confuse me with Turner Broadcasting, but most of them know who I am. What surprises them, Tats, is that there is a department like mine. So what I do have to educate them on is what you and I are talking about today, which is why is a construction company doing community engagement? Why is a construction company volunteering at the elementary school? Why is a construction company cleaning up the playground and painting the fences? So it's that I enjoy explaining to them why we do that. So I don't often have to tell them who Turner is, but I have to explain to them why we've been doing it and why we've been doing it for over 120 something years. So it's a lot of fun for me, and they are always incredibly grateful, appreciative, and quite frankly sometimes surprised that we do all that we do. So it gives me a great pleasure to represent that for Turner.
Yeah, I mean, for a smaller, let's say contracting firm, or sorry, a subcontractor that wants to engage a well-known company, maybe they're, you know, what advice do you have for them to make them a better partner or more visible? Or I mean, obviously finding you is one, but
Mhm.
what tips do you have them? Which some companies will think, well, they're a big company, why would they deal with us? Kind of
Yeah,
mentality.
yeah. I mean, we are looking for partners that share our commitment to active caring, that share our commitment to developing and growing small businesses, that share our passion and commitment for our industry. So if you are a small business, you need to think of ways, what are you doing to give back, right? How are you uplifting the other small businesses or the other small entrepreneurs that may be just starting out? What are you doing around workforce? How are you training and recruiting local, diverse individuals to join your ranks? Is there a position in your company where you could maybe hire an individuals from a distressed community to begin to shadow you? Is there an opportunity for you to work with a small company, even if it's, to have them come in a co-learning situation? For us, really, it's about presenting your company and your company's service, and you tell me how you can add value, right? Yes, we're Turner. Yes, we've been around for a long time, but we don't know it all, Tats. We always looking for partners that can help us be innovative and be better and add value to our team. So don't think of it, oh, they're big Turner. What would they ever need me for? No, actually, we do. And again, it's not about goals, it's about bringing everyone to the table so that those diverse perspectives and ideas are heard so that we make more better informed decisions and we also reflect the communities that we work in on our job sites and in our offices.
Wow. Amazing. Talk to me about, I see in your profile, Turner School of Construction Management.
Yes, so that is my baby. Turner School of Construction Management has been in existence for well over 60 years. It is a program that we offer free to various communities. So we do it throughout the country. Every Turner office does a Turner school in their respective region. And the purpose of the TATS is again to help emerging businesses grow by providing them with learning, resources, and tools in the construction industry. So we have a 6 to 8 week curriculum. We put together classes, whether it be on field management, safety, procurement, insurance, construction law, all of the things that a business that maybe is looking to take things to the next level and work with the Turners of the world. Hey, here's what you're going to need when you enter that arena. Here's what you're going to need to understand, and here's how you're going to need to operate. Turner School is taught by all Turner professionals who give up their time graciously, 2 hours a night, 2 days a week. And at the end, we have a resource night where we invite some of the partners that we've been talking about today to come in and meet with these small firms to again provide them with resources that they'll need to develop. And then we have a wonderful graduation ceremony and we give them a certificate which they can then use to help them whether they're getting certified by the city or the state or maybe they need, additional collateral for proposals or things that they are pursuing. At the end, it's not about getting a contract returner, it's about getting an opportunity to spend time with us and to learn from us. And I'm really proud. We're launching our next Turner School in Westchester at the Westchester SUNY College in Yonkers in Cross County. And Tats will be doing another one in the fall in Queens. So you got to stay tuned with me so I can make sure that your listeners get some of that information.
Absolutely. We'll forward that along. I'm really excited about this. Yeah, I mean, I think I, we have to get more of this information out. So I really like what you're doing. Anything else that specifically practices that you do, or as a company, or you like that you want to share?
Um, I think I think at the end of the day, it's about building relationships. I think that's the biggest kind of takeaway that I've always had from this. It's not easy. It takes time. We're living in a world where everything seems to move really too fast. But we have to take the time to understand that at the end of the day, everything you and I are talking about is about relationships. And building those relationships and strengthening them. And we all have to understand that nothing happens overnight. We have to be patient, but we have to be persistent, and we have to be excellent. So, if I could leave anything, it would be that think about your network and your net worth.